What is up, everybody, and welcome to the All-NBA show powered by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet at FanDuel.com/All-NBA. I'm your host, Adam Mares. I'm joined by my esteemed colleague, Tim Legler. New city, new day, new city, Legs. You're in Indianapolis. How are things going out there?
Yeah, man, we changed up yesterday. Everybody got in last night, off night pretty much for everybody. Do a little socialization and hang out with some people and just get a vibe for it. You know, I think that Indiana overall is probably, very happy. They're coming back here 1-1, right? That's the whole goal of it. But they certainly didn't play defensively in game 2 anywhere close to the level they're going to have to play if they want to have an actual chance at winning the series. To me, Adam, I think you can't give it right back in game 3. That's how I always feel when you get the split. You can't go home and hand it right back in the first game. Now, look, if they end up splitting here, I wouldn't be surprised. But I just think it's critical you get game 3. If you're the team that got that road win, you can't hand it right back and then be down 2-1 with all that pressure in a game 4, like where you got to come up big or you go on the road and get closed out. So to me, that's kind of what I'm looking at. Indiana's adjustments defensively, who knows what they're going to be. I thought some of the way they were talking, Rick Carlisle especially, was almost resigned to the fact that, this is what Shai's just going to do to us. This is what he does. And they got to clean up other areas. And I'm saying, yeah, I hear you about Shai. That doesn't mean they can't be different in how they're guarding him. And I think that's got to be an adjustment. They've got to do something different. It's far too easy for him in what he's getting right now and his ability to get into lane anytime he wants to get to the space anywhere it is. He goes and finds it. They don't seem to have a great plan on him at the point of attack. So, and what things they were saying, it almost sounds like they're not expecting to change a whole lot. And if they don't, I don't know, man. I don't know if they'll win another game if they don't figure out a way to stop letting him just dictate every trip what he wants to do, because that to me has been the storyline so far for Oklahoma City. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is an incredible comfort zone. They're going to have to make his life a little bit harder. And I'm curious to see going into game 3 if they can do that, because I do think to have a real chance to win it, they need to get game 3 specifically. Even more important than like the split. They have to get game 3 to establish to Oklahoma City that they have control.
Yeah. I want to follow up on that real quickly, though. For the show, we are going to be talking about who Legs would build around in the second half of the show. That's our headline topic today. So if you're late to the show, you'll see the timestamps if you want to get ahead to that. But we are going to talk about this game 3 here a little bit to start things off. So it's interesting that you say that, because it does feel like you win. If it is a split, does it matter 3 or 4? But I happen to agree with you in this one way. If we take the first 2 games, all that matters is that it's 1-1. Nothing else matters. Like, you win by a lot, you lose by a lot, it doesn't matter. But if you lose game 3 on your home court, it will feel, and I don't know if players feel as much as as much as fans do, but players will feel like, well, they should have lost game 1. They kind of had the miraculous comeback, and then they got blown out in game 2, and then you lose game 3. And it feels like, hey, are we actually close in this series, or does it feel far away? So to me, I that's why I agree with you that game 3 is important. And then secondly, Legs, in today's NBA, especially with a versatile team like Oklahoma City, I think you want to draw out as many cards as possible early in a series. You want the other team to kind of show what is it that they're prepared for to get 4 wins in the series. And if you lose game 3, especially if you lose comfortably, you might not force those cards out. So that's why I don't always agree with you that I think game 3 is important. But in this specific series, how the first 2 games have gone and what Oklahoma City is capable of with their depth and versatility, I do agree with you that I think game 3 feels as close to a must-win as you can get without it actually being a must-win.
For that exact reason, Adam, what you just said, if you really look at this, all right, yes, Indiana closed game 1, we've seen them do it before, and the way they outplayed them for the last 9.5 minutes of that game. And OKC knows they had some missed opportunities to close that. I mean, you really could look at it, just a few possessions really on which they score, they win the game. As that lead was disappearing, something to stop the momentum of Indiana. They weren't able to do that. Maybe they got a little bit tight at the end. Indiana had been in that situation so many times, they start raining in shots. But if you look at it in its totality of the two games, it's been far more about OKC than it has Indiana. And so to your point, you come home for game 3 and Indiana drops another, 120, 125 on you, and they win a fairly, pedestrian type game, 15-point win on the road, and they do exactly what they did last game offensively. Now you're right. You're looking at 3 games at that point saying, have we really even done anything to them that's close to us at our best besides that little run at the end of game 1? So I just think it's really important. Get off to a good start, have a great first quarter. The one thing that's been interesting to me is to think that we're 2 games in and Indiana, this great offensive team, they haven't had a single guy really have what you would consider a big game. And that's different definition for different people. A big game for Siakam is like 30 plus. A big game for Halliburton could be like 25 with like 14 assists, right? A big game for Turner might be like 18. He hits 5 threes. So there's different definitions, because look at Caruso and Wiggins. I mean, their definition of a big game is different than their start than Jalen Williams or Shai, but they both had big games in game 2. Shai's had great games 2 in a row. Indiana hasn't had any of it. So here we are going into game 3. That's my biggest question. Who's going to have a big night, like a special night where that's the headliner? They haven't had a headliner. Their headline so far was the team comeback. And this team that's so hard to kill. Sometimes, man, you have to have guys just elevate and in the moment have a great night where they are the guy we're talking about after the game. Like, who is going to be the guy that gets the interview with SVP after the game because they had a huge night, like Wiggins did the other night? That's the guest. And then Shai after that. Who is that for Indiana? And so that's what I'm waiting to see. This is a great offensive team, but it's comprised of individual offensive players, none of whom have played their best. And OKC's gotten that out of some guys. That to me is what's got to change.
But isn't Indiana kind of an exception to this rule in how balanced they are and how much their team, when it's humming, it's everybody? Because first of all, I agree with you. I do think you're going to have to get 4 wins against that Oklahoma City team. You're probably going to have at least one where somebody just helps you out. Nesmith goes for 6 threes or something like that. TJ McConnell has a big run. But I don't know if you need 3 more of those. I almost feel like you need one of those, and then you're going to get 2 team wins. Or do you feel, no, it's actually going to take a different guy stepping up for them to get every single win they get from here on out?
I think it's going to have to be different guys stepping up in a big way. Like, let's go back to the Knicks series. We talk about the Indiana team, right? And like you just said, they're a great offensive team. Pascal Siakam had 3 30-point games in that series, and they won all of them.
Yeah,
that's my point. This is the best defense in the league. Your best players have to operate at a high level, because if they can't, the role players aren't going to be able to. That's my point. So like by Halliburton getting loose early, getting free for some looks, like make a couple of threes early, get the swagger going. Get the screen to the crowd while OKC calls timeout. Siakam come out. Give me 10-12 in the first quarter. Like, if they're capable, look, maybe this defense is too good for them to do it, and they're not going to let them do it. They're going to make other guys create offense off the dribble, because they're not going to let Halliburton and Siakam do it. Maybe that's the case. And if that's the case, obviously Oklahoma City is going to win this series. But when you look at when Indiana, look at game 4 of that series and what Halliburton did in the Knicks series, like one of the best performances we've seen. So that's what it takes. But your best players have to play on a big stage with the lights being bright. They've got to be the ones, because they can do things other guys on your team can't against a defense that's good. That's my point. So, yeah, their team is great. Their balance is something we talk about. Their depth is something we talk about with Indiana. But you got to have that cherry on top performance on a given night. Yeah, man, we got a great team, great balance. But damn, it helped that Pascal got 35 tonight. That was nice to be able to do that, because it loosens it up for other guys to a greater extent. And obviously I'm talking more, I think, about Halliburton. He's just been quiet, man. He's been quiet. and he can be a very loud player at times, like really take over games. And maybe Oklahoma City's defense is just too good. And ultimately, if that's the case, you're slowing the engine down, and you're not going full throttle. It's going to be tough for Indiana to win this series, maybe even win another game, unless he makes himself loud and he knows it. He's going to come out and try to do that in game 3. I have no doubt in my mind he's going to get up, 8-10 shots in the first half of game 3. I would be surprised if he doesn't. It's not always about passing with him. I mean, shooting, I get it. He has to be a dual threat, though. He has to be a dual threat. Right now, he's going sideline to sideline off ball screens. Nothing is turning the corner. Nothing is fast up the floor. That's when we notice him and go, wow, man, this guy's unbelievable. When you just get him in a half court and he comes off ball screens, goes sideline to sideline, never turns a corner, they switch, he gives it up. Like, okay, fine. That's not going to be good enough, man. He's a better player than that. They've got to figure out a way to get him some space so he can insert himself offensively into this series in the first quarter.
So another thing you said early on that I thought was very interesting, about stopping Shai versus stopping everybody else. And, do we feel good about where we're at with Shai? What happened in game 2 is everybody ate. Shai was incredible. The role players were incredible and they got open shots. One of the things, though, is that's at home and that's in front of your home crowd. And part of me always wonders with game 3s in particular, the first road game of a series, if coaches ever think, why not force the ball a little bit more into the role players? Shai can make shots on the road. He's a superstar. Can those other guys hit? Like if you just ran back the same looks that OKC got in game 2, but now put them on the road in game 3, you would expect a little bit of a drop off. So in your mind, do you feel like that's something Indiana should be considering of, hey, game 3, we're not going to let Shai win this. Let's see, especially early on, if those other guys can make shots, we'll try to contest them better, but we're going to force the ball into the other guys on the road.
I absolutely do. And in fact, today I'm going to be making an appearance on NBA Today on ESPN, and I'm talking about this exact topic, and I'm doing a breakdown on some plays there against Shai. One of the biggest problems they're having right now, you cannot, as the initial defender on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, like he comes over half court, someone on that possession has him, right? It could, Neesmith or Nembhard, it'd be their preferred guy if you're Indiana. You cannot square him up, meaning both of your feet in exactly the same position squared up on him in the center of the court so that he can go either direction. You have to come up and shade aside. You've got to turn your body and say, you're not coming right or you're not coming left. Whatever you pick on a given possession, because there's going to be someone coming up to set a ball screen and you've got a help defender. And so if you already are shading and forcing to a side, your help guy knows as that screener's running out there, and here comes Obi Toppin or Miles Turner or whoever it is in that spot, Thomas Bryant, they're running out. They know exactly what side to start to hedge on so that they can contain Shai for just a little bit. And maybe it's even a blitz, whatever it may be. Maybe it's a soft blitz so that he has to move the ball out of it. They're playing him straight up at the top. And I literally had 8 examples from the first 2 games where the initial defender is just kind of flat-footed, shoulders up, perfectly perpendicular to the sideline. You can't play defense against a guy that good with his handle, that shifty and that quick. He's going to eat you alive. The other thing he's going to do is confuse the help defender. I don't know which way this guy's going.
Right, yeah.
And I saw it multiple times. Thomas Bryant, Obi Toppin, Miles Turner, they're running out there with the screener. Hartenstein, Chet. Sometimes it's Caruso. He sets a lot of these picks. Dort, whoever it may be. And these guys are running out, and you could tell they're kind of like, well, which way is he going? I can't tell because their teammate is squared up to him. Now Shai goes crossover or between the legs or spin or whatever. And now this guy shifts. The big guy this helper doesn't know which side to go on. And now Shai is putting 2 guys in his rearview mirror as he escapes it. So that's the first adjustment. Very clearly defined. And you should not only be like, hey, whatever the defender wants to send him. No, that should be something you're talking. Listen, we're going to send him right. We're going to send him right. So you need to jump on his left hand. So when that screen comes out, no matter what, hell or high water, Mathurin, Nembhard, Neesmith, you cannot let him go against what we've decided we're going to send him, no matter what. And listen, sometimes you might shade him a little too much, and now that the big guy runs out to help and he splits, right? That's possible, But right now, it's so easy for Shai because nobody's dictating anything to him. They're just saying, we're at your mercy. We're going to react to what you're doing. No way, man. You cannot play defense with a help defender like that. There has to be set rules so that guy knows which side to run up on as he comes out toward half court to contain the ball at least for a second or two at the point of attack. Whether it's a blitz or not, contain it. And they haven't done that at all.
In their defense, this is so much easier said than done, in my opinion. And part of this is because I think Oklahoma City, for several years now, has perfected the flat screen on Shai and just the different slips and different ways. I mean, one of the things, and we've actually talked about this last season, one of the things OKC is so good at, the flat screen where they're not coming from the left or the right. They're almost coming straight from behind the on-ball defender. And then
Hartenstein especially, you're right. Hartenstein's good at that.
And so then you don't know which way you're supposed to shade a guy. What you're saying is, well, you can dictate it. You almost jump out of position to force it to one angle. But again, Oklahoma City they have 1,000 reps of this. Every player on the roster has 1,000 reps. Shai has 10,000 reps of running through this exact action. And if you force it, they're good at slipping out of it. They're good at rolling out of it and finding the pocket. And then Shai is good at getting wide, so the big jumps and then splitting it. So I agree with you. I do think it's the most important thing, but it's not one of these things that's like, oh, once you do, that's what we're executing. It's simple. It's every play, every microsecond and micro detail ends up determining whether it'll work or not.
I agree. I'm not saying it's easy. I mean, that's part of like analysis. I always laugh. I always joke, like, I'm going to make something incredibly difficult sound simple. It's not simple. It's not easy. The guy's the toughest individual cover in the NBA right now. I understand that. What I'm saying is, they're not dictating anything to him. He still might do whatever he wants, but right now I know for a fact, in fact, I'm going to do a play today in which it's a guard-on-guard screen, and it's 40 feet from the basket. And Tyrese Halliburton is the guy that's guarding the screener. I don't remember who the player is off the top of my head. Halliburton, so listen, it's guard-on-guard. I understand you don't want to switch him onto Halliburton if you're Indiana. I get it. So again, it starts out, it's Nembhard. Number one, he's squared up to him, shoulder to shoulder, so he can go either direction he wants. Halliburton is, as he's coming out with the screen, is clearly on the left side of the floor. So if Shai were to cross up Nembhard at the top and go left, Halliburton's over on to Shai's right hand. He's on that side of the floor. If he crosses him up and goes left, there's nothing Halliburton can do. So that's my point. First of all, your help is coming up on that side. I've got to shade him that way. But here's the thing that also I noticed on the play. Why are you fighting over the top of a screen 40 feet from the basket?
Right. That's the big one. This is the big one. Yeah.
And my point, Adam, is this. Halliburton has so much time as that screen is running out there, because you're talking about a 15-foot, at least 20-foot maybe run for the screener. There is so much time to say under, and just back up. Like, I mean, this was defense. Like when I played a lot of teams, you adjusted to pick and roll. It wasn't like set rule every time. Here's how we're going to play pick and roll every time.
Right.
No, the whole point is you put pressure on the help defender to communicate that to the guy on the ball. Under. So there's no reason why Nembhard can't release a few feet. And then, hell, even if you get behind the screen and you kind of dance around and see where he's going to go, at least you're keeping the ball in front of you. You want to fight over the top of a pick 40 feet against a guy as talented as Shai Gilgeous-Alexander? I got news for you. You're done. You're chasing him the whole play. And then Halliburton, as he comes out to help, he's like 10 feet behind the screen. His feet are completely flat. Shai comes out him, he just jukes him, goes right into the middle of the lane, walks him down, hits him with the right shoulder, lean back 10-footer. He never saw another defender on the play. He never saw a help guy, 3 guys on the baseline kind of standing and watching, and he just gets to an open 15-foot pull-up jumper, like literally it was a practice shot. And I'm going to say on the air, if they played defense like that every possession, I'm telling you right now, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander could score 80 points.
80?
80. He'd score 80 points. If you just said, Shai, listen, man, don't worry about passing.
Yeah.
Read what's there, and you're only going to get one defender on this type of coverage. Have at it. That dude would score 80 points. And so that's my point. He's a great, great player, man. I'm not taking anything away from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I'm just saying you better have something you're trying to dictate to him. This is what we're going to try to do to you, because right now they're not. It's all a reaction to what he's doing. You don't react to great players in this league because you'll never catch them. You've got to try at least to start to tell them, this is where we want you to go, and this is why. The other thing it does, the other three defenders, they're in position ready based on you being able to execute at least the initial part of this. We know what our rotations are now. Instead, what's happening, he's coming off of that, and it's all hell breaks loose. Now it's chaos. Those guys don't know exactly who's going to stop ball, who's going to close out on the shooter. Two guys are going sometimes. He gets a wide open kick out to Caruso for a three. They're just completely confused because Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is doing whatever he wants to them. That's the overall point of this. Not saying it's easy. I'm not saying they're going to be able to pull it off, but you better start to get better at the point of attack, or else it's going to look the same way every single game.
Yeah. It will be interesting to see that choice, because I happen to agree with you. Shai's averaging an absurd amount of points already in the series, 36 or something like that. And it feels like that is almost the floor, unless you're deliberately trying to force the ball out of his hands, unless you're going to start trapping and really overloading your defense, because I don't think Indiana can guard him. I don't think any team can guard him, but I don't think Indiana can slow him down. And so now you're talking about trying to really dictate your coverages to try to trap him and keep him out of the paint. That opens it up for other people. And I'm just curious to see how that goes. Now, the last thing I have for you on the series for tomorrow, or game 3, Indiana. All right, Halliburton has to play well. Siakam has to play well. Who is the biggest X factor behind those two guys, in your opinion, now that you go home and you're just hoping from a boost from somebody else in a way you didn't quite expect?
It's definitely Miles Turner, because Miles
Okay.
Turner can get space against this team because of the way they react to penetration. Now, look, none of it works if you can't get any penetration. If Tyrese Halliburton is relegated the entire game to being on the perimeter, and the only guy that's able to break them down is TJ McConnell, who's not going to make as many plays just because of his size. If Halliburton can't do it, then it's not going to matter. Assuming Siakam has some success winning his one-on-ones against some of these smaller guys, assuming Halliburton is better and more aggressive and able to somehow break them down a little bit, and it happened actually at the end of game 1. If you look at some of the threes they got, they just are conditioned to fly to the lane on the weak side. And it's great because we marvel at it. Like, man, look at these guys helping recover is incredible. But it also led to some threes at a time in the game when they couldn't afford to give up threes, because that's the only way Indiana was coming back in that game. And you have to use that against them. And the guy to benefit the most is Turner. He can be a deadly three-point shooter. I mean, we've seen him in the playoffs where he'll string together 3 or 4 of those, because it's a tough, long recover for the bigs, because they're helping and then trying to get out to him. And if it's a guard, he should be confident that, okay, I can still shoot this, even if they're closer to me, because I'm 6'10". So I think Miles Turner for me is the guy. I think it's going to be harder for Mathurin the way he likes to play. I think it's going to be harder for him to muscle these guys and get to the line and beat them one-on-one off the dribble where you have an angle on them. They're just too quick laterally for him. Nesmith is more of a guy that it's a little easier to stay home with. It's not as easy with Turner. So I think he's the guy. Toppin and Turner, really. I think both of those guys can get looks, but I'll start with Turner because I just seen him do it before, where he has these hot quarters where he hits 3 or 4 of those things. It changes everything for them. It changed everything. It changed the way Oklahoma City will now defend him, how they stay home a little bit more, and that might lead to a little bit more around the basket. So I think he's very, very important in game 3.
Well, it should be an interesting one, man. This one is really, obviously, I think, extremely important to Indiana. So, if they win this one, I just think the series is going long. I mean, obviously, you look at it's going to go 6 or 7. But if they lose this one, you start to worry about, is Oklahoma City going to wrap this thing up pretty quickly? So we'll kind of see how it plays out. Let us know in the chat what you're thinking. Oh, by the way, just what's the vibe in Indianapolis? What was it like in Oklahoma City? Sometimes during the finals, you can arrive in a city and you can feel the excitement, of that moment. Do you get that sense in Oklahoma City? Do you get that sense in Indianapolis?
Definitely felt it in OKC. We came in last night. We got in here like 7, got to the hotel, and then went out, had a meal collectively. And I didn't sense it. It's a Monday night. It's not like
At
downtown
night.
is going to be having a lot of people out. So it was more like kind of like our group, media people, kind of hanging out, eating, hanging out a little bit. I felt it immediately in Oklahoma City, like the vibe. The Uber drivers are talking to you about it, and like so you feel it. I didn't
Yeah.
feel it as much. In fact, the Uber driver at the airport last night, I got in the car and he said, hey, what are you in town for? You work for Lilly? Because this is their headquarters, a pharmaceutical company. Thought
Wow.
I was here for like a convention or something. I said, no, there's another big event going on here besides Lily's thing. And
So I
he
see.
didn't.
So Lily, the hype for Lily is way up here, but the NBA Finals maybe just a little bit below
Yeah,
there.
look, and I noticed. Listen, and this is a basketball state. It's a basketball
Yeah.
mecca. I'm sure today we're gonna be out again tonight. I'm sure
Yeah.
you'll feel it more, and definitely by tomorrow. There's no doubt in my mind that place is gonna be rocking. But yeah, I'd say my initial impression, you felt it getting off the plane at the airport in OKC. I just kind of felt it in the air. Everybody couldn't wait for this thing to get started. And maybe just the timing. I got here last night and there was no one really out downtown. So I didn't run into fans too much last night to interact with them. I'm sure I will more tonight.
All right. Well, we're not on tomorrow. We have tomorrow off, but we will be back on Thursday recapping game 3. So we always will break these things down. Let's take a break now because on the other side, we're going to have a little bit of fun. And now that we've seen this playoffs take off and how everybody performed, I thought it'd be interesting to get Legs' perspective on who would be his number 1 pick to build a team around if he had pick of everyone in the league, factoring age and everything else. We'll do that on the other side. First, let me tell you guys about Vivid Seats. The NBA playoffs are heating up, but there's no better time to experience the intensity in person. Whether you're trying to catch your favorite team live or just looking for the best deals on live event tickets, like concerts, let us tell you about our friends at Vivid Seats. Vivid Seats is the best place to get your tickets for any game or show. They have the best selection of seats, a 100% buyer guarantee, and they're the only ticket marketplace that rewards you for every purchase. For a limited time, our listeners can use promo code ALLNBA30 to receive $30 off of their first Vivid Seats purchase of $300 or more. Just click the link in the show notes or download the Vivid Seats app and use the promo code ALLNBA30 for $30 off of your first purchase of $300 or more. And that's not all. For the remainder of the NBA playoffs, Vivid Seats is giving away free tickets every week. Check out the exclusive Game Center in the Vivid Seats app and play the NBA playoff pick for your chance to win. When it comes to playoff hoops, being there is all that matters, so experience it live with Vivid Seats. Also want to tell you guys about FanDuel. It's the best place to find all your favorite player props, and now you can make a smarter play with the new performance trends. Want to see if a guy's been hitting the over consistently or maybe flirting with a potential triple-double? Get the latest stats right inside the app and see who's heating up. And once the game starts, that's when things get interesting. You can combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. If you don't already have FanDuel, it's not too late to get in on the action. You'll get started with 200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. So just visit FanDuel.com/AllNBA to join today. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Must be 21 or older and present in select states, or 18 plus and present in DC. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. All right, back here, segment 2 of the All NBA show with myself and Tim Legler. Make sure you're subscribed. I want to announce a new show we have in the ALLCITY network with Quita Loves Sports. I don't know if you guys know her. She's real big in the WNBA community. She's covering the Sky, the Mercury, and the Wings, as well as doing general WNBA content. She has a great following, an incredibly hard worker, and has a new daily show here on the ALLCITY network. So you want to check her out. You can Google Quita in the morning if you are a WNBA fan and want to stay connected to all of the latest news, notes, and analysis, including great guests. She's really great. We're excited to have her on. So check that channel out. Get over there and subscribe. All right, Legs. So I thought it would be fun because we're at this moment. The Ringer did the top 100 players in the NBA list. And I feel like most years, you know more or less who's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like you can kind of tell the guys that are going to be in order. We're in this transition period right now where the old guard is starting to age out. The young guard is starting to make the finals. And then you have the middle ground guys like Giannis and Jokic. And so I thought if you were the GM of a team, every team player was available, and now you get to pick a player. So you're factoring in age and longevity, how long you'll have them, how easy it is to build a contender around them. If you factoring in all of those things, who at this moment in the summer of 2025 would you pick to build your team around?
All right, man. I can make a really strong argument for one of two guys. And
Okay.
here's my concern. It's pretty easy in my mind, actually, if I knew one specific thing about this player. Okay. So for me, it would be an easy pick to pick Jokic.
Okay.
I think that would be an easy one for me, except I worry that Jokic is one of those guys that all of a sudden in one off season is just going to go, you know what? I'm done. I'm actually done. Kind of
Can
tired
I
of it
tell
all.
you?
I'm just gonna go. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna go retire and live a life of anonymity. I don't want to be bothered.
Yeah.
And it was a great run. Thanks for everything, and I'm out. Like honestly, I don't like. And the other guy is Shai. They're the two guys. They are.
The two
Shai's
MVP
26
candidates.
years old. She's 26. I don't think that would ever happen to him. I think he's a guy that. And the other thing about Shai is, it's hard to envision him suffering like a long-term injury.
Oh,
I
man.
know it's
Let's knock on
possible
wood
for
here.
anybody.
Yeah.
I know it's possible for anybody, right? But it's just my point being this: he's not a high-flying attacker. He's a grounded player. Everything he does is grounded. He lives off the mid-range, right? He lives off of that. And obviously, it could happen to anyone. But he's 26. He seems like he is determined, with a lot of dog in him, that he wants to be one of the all-time greats. He's 4 years younger than Jokic. You could pencil in 30 plus a night guaranteed with him. He's also a good playmaker. He's not an elite playmaker like a few other guys that would be in this list. You know, he's not elite, but the basis and foundation for your offense is built in with him. Now, Jokic obviously can beat you that way, or he can just pick you apart and make everybody on the floor around him better. So I think it would be Jokic. I just don't know. The 4-year age gap is what I would get hung up on a little bit. And like how much more of this Jokic are we going to get? I'm pretty confident we're going to get another 8 years, 10 years of this out of Shai. So that's kind of where I would get hung up on that. Do you agree?
So first part of this, I think and obviously I cover Jokic most closely here in Denver. I started when he started, so I've covered his entire career. I think the Jokic is going to retire one day out of the blue thing is highly unlikely. I think Jokic loves and values basketball a lot more than people realize. He's much more competitive. He enjoys the game. I think he might play Eurobasket this summer after playing in the Olympics last summer. This is a guy that I think really enjoys playing. So I don't think that last part or that first part you talked about is going to happen. I do think he's going to be like Tim Duncan, that whenever it's done, we're not going to hear from him again. You know, like when it's time to hang it up, he's going to be back in Serbia, and every 10 years he'll show up for like a Hall of Fame event. But I don't think he's going to just quit at like 33 years old and just up and be out of here. So that does that, just me telling you that, does that change the equation at all?
No, not at all.
It's still a risk.
Yeah, it is, man. It's like, because look, here's the other thing. Like, I think based on what happened this year, the guy had, one of the greatest seasons this league's ever seen. He did not win MVP, and I'm not saying that would force him out of the game, but maybe the MVP window's closed for him.
Yeah,
like, that's it.
Very well.
And I'm not saying that's going to take away the fun or what. That's not why he plays. I understand that, but I'm just saying, like, I guess and we all face this at some point. You ask yourself, are all the best days behind me? Like, and I think for him, maybe there will be some of that creeps in sooner than you think, because who knows what happens with their team? Who knows what happens with their team? Are they still going to be in the mix to title contend? I don't know, man. Their roster needs help. So I don't know if they're going to be able to pull that off. So, and there's other teams that feels like they're on the rise in the West that might make it harder for them going forward. So that's my point. I don't think the best days are even close for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Like, he's just beginning it right now, going to do it for a long time. And I just think he's such an automatic offense generator. There is no real answer for him. And I'm not saying there is one for Jokic. It's just all about, I think Shai could do it a little bit longer. And I also like the fact that already built in, like, he's a very committed and solid defensive player. You're not like trying to think, how do I have to cover for him? Guy that just puts up numbers. So I don't know. Maybe my nod would go to Shai, even though I think it's still generally regarded that Jokic is the best player in the world. I think most people agree with that.
The nice thing about Shai is that you're going to have a baseline offense, whether it's good enough to win a championship or not. You're not going to turn the ball over. You're going to be able to control the tempo because he does all of those things. So then it's like it's easy in a way to build around him. You got to space the floor and you got to, you're going to have some defenders, but your offense is going to be more or less consistent because it's all about his ability to bend the defenses. So I think it's a good pick. He's also 26. He will be 27 here in 4 weeks. So he's basically 27 years old, but I agree with you. That gives you 9 years where you think he's going to be in this, like, can lead a team to a championship as the number one guy window, which is an enormous amount of time. So Jokic would be number. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, I didn't know if you were going to get off this topic. Are we going to keep going? Because I wanted to talk about another guy. Okay.
Yeah. So we'll go Shai. You have Shai 1, Jokic 2, even though Jokic is 30. So what else? Where do you go after that?
Man, I see a lot of people over there with Luka love. People know how I felt about Luka.
They've been seeing the videos.
Let me tell you something. You're asking at the wrong time right now for me. You're asking me at the wrong time. Over the year he had. I mean, it's a tough sell right now to go there. Look, obviously, I still think, depending on what he looks like at the start of the season and, how has this all affected him in any way to address some of these things that are legitimate issues. They're not made up. We'll find out. I don't care what the videos look like because I saw a video 3 summers in a row of Ben Simmons shooting jumpers in a gym with the one-word captions like grinding or like whatever he'd put out there. And then it'd be the same Ben Simmons at the start of the year. So off-season videos don't mean squat to me. Show me, and I've said this about Luka before. For Luka, first of all, you've got to be on a team that's like in the top 2, top 3 minimum in the West. You got to be pushing 60 wins. That hasn't happened. He hasn't come close to that. And a lot of it's because of him. So you got to show up from day one, man, like these other guys do, and look like you're in midseason shape and ready to dominate from the beginning. And so if he does that, maybe we revisit this conversation. Let's revisit this conversation at Christmas. But right now, to sell that to me right now, are you kidding me? Based on the way his year went? No, man, that was every bit of that was a bad look for him. And I defended him, and I still think I wouldn't have made that trade. I'll say that probably the rest of my life. I wouldn't have made the trade. But man, did he open the door for all of the criticism to be validated? So let's see on him. So putting him to the side, and he's
putting Luka to this. Hold on a second. Let me ask you real quick though, because you're a very rational guy, you're a very thoughtful guy. But I have seen a lot of photos of Luka this offseason. I know we fall for this trap all the time. In fact, there was just a video of him working out at the Lakers facility. Do we have it, James? Are you able to pull it up? I want Legs to see this workout highlight footage here of a very.
We got it.
Good. Do we have it? Do you have it, James? Are you able to pull this up?
Because I haven't seen this video.
Okay, maybe not. All right, we'll keep it moving. Maybe he'll be able to pull it up here in a second. But he's looking thin. He's looking skinny. He's looking, James says ready, but we don't see it.
Sorry, guys.
There we
go.
The
static image of it. Don't have the video.
Is that it?
Oh, the static image. Okay. You can't really tell. He's got the weight belt on. Yeah, you can't tell from here. From the video, you can tell a little bit better. But I'm just saying, he's looking thin. He's working out.
So.
I mean, so.
Hey, listen, nobody loves Luka more than me. I'm going to be honest about him at times, right? So, I love all 3 of my children, but sometimes you scold them. I mean, that's just the way it works. And right now, Luka is a little bit in the doghouse, man. He's a little bit in the doghouse. And so redeem yourself. Come in. And people are talking about his numbers. I hear you. On a bad year, and I know that's true. Like, I love the line that Markieff Morris had. Like, hey, man, 35, 9, and 9. He must be in some kind of shape. Like, I hear you. Right. I get that. But it's more than that for him. It's more than that, man. There's a determination and a commitment to more effort defensively, to less of the distractions with the constant complaining, because it got better and then it was off the charts bad again at the end of the season. Everything about it was bad look for him. So it's more than the numbers for me now, man. It's more than that. It's commitment to leadership It's proving
Yes.
to other guys you're willing to lay it on the line too. And here's how I'm going to show you that this matters to me, like it should, like it does these other guys. Like you could tell it's life and death to these guys, Giannis and Anthony Edwards and Shai and Jokic and Curry and LeBron and all of those guys. They carry themselves like this stuff's life and death. And Luka doesn't all the time. That's what I'm saying. He's got to close the gap in that area. There's no denying the talent. He's going to be put off to the side. I'm going to set him aside and revisit this in a few months. That's my plan with Luka.
Well, I was going to say the
ahead.
leadership part of this I think is big too, because we do see guys that sometimes, they lose something and they get in great shape and, now I'm ready. And maybe it lasts a year, a season or two, but full total, like sort of like character or discipline transformation takes, it takes a lot. More people are able to have a year transformation than they are to have a decade. And if you're picking a team for the future, you're picking a guy that's like really going to be able to do that at a high level, the leadership, the discipline, all of those things. So, all right, he's to the side. So who else? Who is number 3?
So again, number 3 has a caveat attached to it as well.
Oh, listen to this guy. Get a load of this guy.
I'm a little bit concerned. I mean, I'm assuming and hoping that Victor Wembanyama is going to be okay going forward.
I mean, the injury risk is part of the calculation with him for sure. Big calculation.
I mean, he's already this blood clot. I mean, hopefully that's just something that they're going to be able to deal with and get under control. And I hope that that's the case. I think he'd be the answer if you're going to assume health. I'm going with Wemby. I'm going with Wemby, and it's going to take a little longer than it would with the next guy on my list, which would probably be Anthony Edwards. I think that could happen sooner with him. I mean, Victor Wembanyama is going to take time. And look, there still are some questions about his actual total upside offensively. There are some questions, man, because of his physical strength or lack thereof. And to what extent can he absolutely dominate with his skill set and his length and shooting ability? Can you relegate him to be a perimeter player a lot of nights because he can't, have the physical strength to deal with physicality defensively in the playoffs and beat you one-on-one and get into the lane and be an all-around offensive player? I think that's a legitimate question, but there's no doubt what this guy can do defensively. And when he wins his first Defensive Player of the Year award, he might run off 5 in a row. I mean, it's very possible. In addition to this incredibly unique force, and again, we're seeing pictures of this guy. Looks like he's still growing, which is scary. How much he's dwarfing some of these guys that are like 7-footers in some of these pictures
crazy.
you see him. So if he's still growing, and I think he would be my answer if I just knew that he's going to be okay. And I'm not talking about legs or knees down the road. Who knows with any of these guys? I'm talking about specifically this blood clot and making sure that everything's okay.
Right.
He's going to resume his career, not have any more setbacks with that. It's a scary thing to be that age and deal with something like that. So he would be the answer, though. I don't know if you agree with that. All things being equal and everybody stays healthy, he's the answer for me.
I'm extra worried about his injury concerns, to be honest with you. And a lot of this is not even things that have happened to him already. It's just the nature of guys that are 7'7". You're always going to be concerned about his ability to be healthy all the way through. But if you threw that to the side, he's number 1, in my opinion, with a bullet, because you talk about Shai, Jokic, those guys give you a top offense, almost just stepping on the court. Wemby gives you the best defense when he's on the court, and an unbreakable one. I think once we see him in a playoff series, we're going to really see how impactful he can be. So I think 3 is a healthy spot to have him. Have you seen the pictures of him, by the way, at a Buddhist monastery this week? Have you seen this?
No.
So apparently he's on some retreat, I think in China right now, joined a Buddhist monastery for a week of just like meditation and to get away. He shaved his head, the whole 9 yards. And I'm curious, like, players do their own thing in the off season. They kind of have their own way, vacations, they take this or that. Going to a monastery and kind of spending a week just, bare basics, living and meditation and different things is certainly a unique choice. What do you think of it? And what are some guys that have done some odd things in the off season or just abnormal, unique things in the off season?
Well, I don't know if anybody at the top of my head
this.
comes to mind. Yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
I wish they had him standing up next to one of those monks.
They have one, James. Find that one. They have one where you could see it. Actually, it's as hilarious as you think it is. But yeah,
I do want to finish up real quick. I got to ask you a question though. So you said if you could guarantee health, if you could look into a crystal ball and guarantee health for him going forward, he'd be automatically number one. So you're that convinced that you don't, or put it this way, do you feel like he has to be a guaranteed guy that you can run your offense to and build your offense around and deliver every night the way guys like Shai and Jokic do? Like, are you convinced that he's that, or are you saying it doesn't even matter? Let's say he becomes, he tops off at 24, but with all the other stuff he does, as long as you put enough, a couple other good offensive players on the floor, that's all you're going to need? Or do you think, no, man, this guy's going to, he's going to be like one of those guys that's like 30 plus, eventually he'll be getting into that, 6 to 10 assists on any given night. Obviously the double-digit rebounds. You're convinced offensively he's going to be good enough all around that's the basis of your offense, because that is the case with Jokic and Shai and Luka.
I think it's just the opposite. I think when you get like a Shai or a Jokic, you say, okay, our offense is more or less settled. Now we need some defensive players around them, but they have to be two-way guys. They have to be able to shoot. I think with Wemby, your defense is on lock. You say, okay, we got our defense set. This guy's going to be an incredible rim protector. We can build some scoring. We can make guys who are maybe the 15th best scorer in the NBA, but we're going to put him next to Wemby because Wemby doesn't hurt you on offense. He actually helps you space the floor and do these different things. But your defense, to me, is going to be elite with him. And ultimately, I think it's going to be a challenge for the entire league.
People upset that Giannis hasn't been mentioned. So,
yeah. Well, hold on real quick. Here's the photo for you, Legs. I think we have the one for you. There he is with the other monks getting some food at the cafeteria, it looks like, or maybe in a I can't actually tell.
What is happening with this guy?
I mean, have you seen anything like it's almost Rodman-esque or something? Have you do you have stories of players that in their off season would do some things that you're like, oh wow, that's not how I would have spent my off season, but that's interesting.
I honestly don't. I wish I did. I know. I just no. This is like this Aaron Rodgers stuff. And going to cave for a week.
I think this is a little different than the Aaron Rodgers stuff. But yes,
but I'm just saying, no. But it's like this unique stuff that guys are doing that has nothing to do with being in the gym. All we thought about when I played, it was you got your rest for a little while. Saw your family, went on vacation, did all that for the first month after the season, and then you're just back in the gym, man, doing traditional stuff, man, traditional training, and getting yourself ready for the season. So no, hey man, he's look, by all accounts, very mature. I think he's got good leadership eventually in him when he gets a little bit more, years in the league and feels like his voice can carry more weight. Sounds like he's just a dream to coach because he loves the game and he's just a really good person. So he's got the whole package, but.
Yeah, I like it.
People mad we didn't mention Giannis yet. So there's a Giannis mention. I just mentioned him. I mean, I love Giannis.
Is he 4? Even at 30 years old?
He'd be 31. He'd be 4th for me, yes.
I still think you're going to get several years out of Giannis here where he's capable of carrying you to a title. So I'm with you. I mean, I think the 4 that we listed are the 4 that I would have gone with as well. Actually, to me, I have Luka in there. I mean, as people have said, even if Luka doesn't get it together, you still have a hell of a team. But if he does get it together, I think then he becomes the special talent that we all believe he can be. So those 5 guys would be. Well,
I did. I admittedly took a cop out with him by setting him to the side. I didn't make a determination on him because I think I've earned that right, by the way, because of how much I've supported the guy in the past. So I've earned the right. I'm not some Luka hater. I've supported this guy like nobody else, and I have the right to put him to the side, man. He's got to prove that he wants this as bad as he should, in my opinion, with that kind of talent. And I think he's yet to really push himself to those extremes that these other guys do. He's got to do that. And we're going to find out next year.
Yeah. All right. So that's the top 5. And I feel like everybody would have that top 5 in some order, or almost everybody would. But after that is where it gets interesting, because now you get into, 2 guys in particular, Anthony Edwards, Cade Cunningham, and then you've got guys like Paolo Banchero and Halliburton. Then you start to get to those guys. So where would you go after this top 5? It sounds like Anthony Edwards for you.
I probably would go Anthony Edwards next. And I probably would have had Tatum right there with him until this Achilles injury.
Yeah.
And look, he might come back. He might come back fully, but I don't think anybody's been 100%. So there's a good chance he's not quite as explosive. The rehab from it's much better now. The surgery's less invasive. He's got a much better chance than guys in my era had. It was a career killer when I played. You could make it back on the court. You were never going to be close to the same player. Now you do have a chance to do that. So we'll see what happens to him going forward. But I think he'd be right there as well. But I probably would be Anthony Edwards. And I do think there has to be adjustments to his game. Like he's got to have a coach that's strong-willed enough to push him on certain areas of his game to fill in the holes. But the competitiveness, I think the dude is hungry. I think he loves to fight. He hates to lose. And he's got massive, massive athletic ability. And he's already added a lot to his game, but there's still some more he's got to tighten up and get better at, and in terms of decision-making, better at. So he'd be right there for me.
Is Cade next on your list? Because I don't know if I'm just loving this year he had and buying a little bit too much recency bias, but Cade represents to me another one of these examples where he checks so many boxes that your team almost feels easy to build around after him.
Yeah, I think Cade would be right there for me as well. And I could understand people making the argument for Cade over Anthony Edwards. If you wanted to make that to me, I wouldn't fight you too hard on that. I think they're basically neck and neck in this conversation. Yeah. He's a floor leader with great poise. Again, sounds like a great teammate. So you're not dealing, doesn't sound like from the outside of people I've talked to, you're not dealing with this narcissist or an ego. That's a problem. He seems like he's all about team. Guys love him on the team. I love those point guards with that kind of size that can make any pass or scoring option for themselves on the floor. Anything that's available, they can make that play because of great size, and the speed with which he plays allows him to make great decisions because he's never in a rush. I'm a big Cade Cunningham fan. And who knows, man? Again, revisit this at Christmas or revisit this next year.
Right. Yeah.
He might have moved up a few notches and be right up there in the conversation with these top guys. It's very possible.
And then after him, because then it gets really interesting, because then you get guys like Halliburton and Paolo Banchero. And I love these guys, especially Halliburton, love these players. But part of me wonders if it's like significantly better when you get to that tier of player. Is it significantly better than your Donovan Mitchells and some of the other guys that are going to show up a lot lower in the Amen Thompson and players like that? So there's a drop off after that to where, and this is what's interesting about the NBA. I think the 15th to 50th best player in the NBA, the gap's not that wide. There's a lot of really good players in that range.
Well, for me, the problem I have with Halliburton is this inconsistency of showing his greatness is a problem for me. These other guys that we've listed, it looks the same every night. Doesn't mean they play great every night. They have off nights, but it looks the same. You rarely, Anthony Edwards I thought did get a little dispirited in the series of Oklahoma City. I did think that. They were overwhelmed by that team. And I think he saw it and he let go of the rope a little bit in that series. And I'm going to give him a little bit of a pass for that because that's the only time I've really seen it from him. That guy competes. It looks the same every night. All these guys are mentioning, like, it just like, okay, you don't watch the game and go, man, where's Giannis? Like, what's Jokic doing, man? Like the last 8 trips, he hasn't really seemed involved. We don't talk about those guys like that. We do with Halliburton. How many times do we talk about, like, man, he was quiet tonight. He was passive tonight. Use words like that with him. And so that's why for me, that's a tougher sell on him. I still think he's a really talented player. And then on the nights he's got it all going and he's a dual threat, he's dominant. But there's too many nights, which by too many means hell for a star player. It can't be like 1 out of 5.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? That's even too high of a ratio. And so for him, it's maybe even a little higher than that sometimes where you're just like, what's going on? Like, why haven't I noticed Tyrese Halliburton? Did that guy just finish a half really with 3 points, 2 assists? And like how? So for me, that's what holds him back a little bit. And then Brunson will be another guy, I guess, that would come up, but the style of play, I think, is a little bit harder to find the perfect pairings alongside of him.
Yeah. What about Paolo Banchero? Is he a guy that you would have up high on this list, or is he another just kind of that third tier guy that
Yeah, definitely, man. I love Paolo Banchero, and I do think he competes. He's tough. He's just got to add more to his game.
Yeah.
He's a really, really good offensive player that can score on just about anybody. There's not a real matchup for him because of his perimeter shooting combined with his power play. He's got both. He just has to get better at being able to make things happen for other guys, right? And continuing to add that. And he's a big dude. So like, it's going to be harder for him. You know, he's like an inch shorter than Kevin Durant, but look at their body types. So it's not easy to say, well, go add a step back three to your game. Go add the ability to run ball screen and break guys down. He's basically built like a, Karl Malone. So it was like, you're asking a lot to do that. The LeBron Jameses of the world are once in a lifetime. So maybe it's asking too much, and he is what he is. And maybe he just gets better at that even. And he's a 30-point scorer every night. He's just doing that to you. He belongs in this conversation because of his age and what he's already accomplished in this league.
Yeah. Let us know in the comments if you enjoyed this. Let us know who your list of guys, you can give us 1 through 5, who you would build around if you had, you became the GM and everybody was up for grabs and you got the number 1 pick. Who would you choose to build around? I saw some of the people say the old heads, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, maybe even LeBron. Those guys are just a little old. I mean, they might guarantee
what are we maybe you didn't define the conversation well enough.
Some people will take 2 years of Kevin Durant versus 10 of Paolo. I don't know.
When I hear build something, like you're not going to go build a house that lasts 2 years. Like you want to build a house that you can live in for a long time. Like, so if you're building something, the thought is, I want this to last a while. If you just want if you asked a different question, you pick one guy in the league and you're going to build your team and next year you want to win a championship, it'd be a different conversation.
Yeah.
Not the top guys necessarily, not the top couple, but then after that, it would start to change a little bit, But no, we're talking about build something that's sustainable. That's the whole point of the conversation. And so you talk about guys, Steph Curry's 37, LeBron's 40. Like, no, that's Durant's 37, I think, or 38.
Yeah.
That's you're not going that direction at this stage of their career.
I think my official list would be Jokic, Giannis, Luka, Wemby, Shai. I think that would be my official order. So same guys in the top 5, but just a little bit of a different order. All right,
I do like people mentioning Cooper Flag. I like the thought process there because I'm with you,
tough,
man. I think this dude is going to be instantaneous impact. Like immediately day one, plug him in. He's impacting the game. Even if he takes 6 weeks to get comfortable scoring the ball, he's going to affect the game immediately defensively and with his competitive edge. That's why I love him so much.
I love Eliza says Jokic is incapable of beating a double team. So there's a comment for everybody, Legs. All right, what do we have super chat wise? What's in the suit? Steph Curry can't shoot, man. He can't shoot.
Why do you have to demoralize me as we're getting off the show? And I thought we had the smartest fan base out there. People that say they love our show are smart people, Adam, because we're giving them the best breakdowns, and then you hit me with that. Now I got to question everything.
Psycho Blue says, no coach, no GM, no problem. Jokic is the Bill Russell of our generation. He does it all and takes historic defenses to 7 games despite injured co-stars. There you go. So somebody with a different take there. We all appreciate Psycho Blue. What else we got? Hoppy Valley Farm says, Luka and SGA have a shifty hurry and wait gear, LOL. It's true, man. The deceleration is kind of the new move in the NBA, and the great players are just really – I was thinking about this. Jordan – like Kobe was like Jordan, extends it out to the 3-point line. They're similar, but you could see how the game evolved. And so Kobe almost is Jordan as the game evolved. I feel like Shai is the Kobe of an evolved game where you're not trying to just grab and go to the rim, dunk it, grab, go, and you almost decel. It's like decel is the new thing that's taken over, and Shai is so good at it.
Well, the other thing, I mean, it's just you could put his mid-range up there. He's up there in that category. We start talking about guys like Kobe and Jordan and Kawhi Leonard, like 3 of the best I've ever seen at dominating that area of the floor. He's every bit as good in that area of the floor, man. The guy just not missed that shot very often. If he gets that to a one-on-one situation where he can get off the floor, because he stops so quickly, you're still in retreat mode. It's all the separation he needs. And it's such a lethal weapon, man. And that's unfortunately Rick Carlisle's problem in this series.
And we got one more. Leonard says, case for a Şengün build. Skill, playmaking, possible bigger upside, cheap relative to talent so you can acquire a prime player and keep Terror Twins. Thoughts? I mean, if we're talking about starting a team, though, with somebody, Şengün, you have to assume you're starting him. He's your max player. Good player. I just wouldn't have him in this conversation.
If he's your guy, then yeah, you're going to be a first or second round team. That's because if we're talking about the biggest name on your roster, like this is the guy, unquestioned.
Right.
I'm not sure they have found that yet in Houston, and that's why there's going to be an interesting summer for them because they got a lot of things I like on that team. I don't think they have what we're talking about, which is that guy that every night is going to get it done against whatever he sees in front of him. And I love Şengün's game. I don't know that he would be on that level with these other guys we're talking about, but I hear what you're saying. Complete all around offensive player, but his ceiling in that area, just not as high as the ones we've already discussed.
All right. And then we had one last come in. Mr. Exquisite Nugget says, imagine if this goes to game 7, Tim, who you got? If it goes to 7, I think you have to take the home team OKC in a game 7.
For sure. Just like I would probably think Indiana would have a great shot if somehow they can get to a closeout game 6 at home. I would like them in that situation, I think. But game 7 on the road now, I will say this, it just reflects what's happened here in recent years. It's more likely to get a game 7 road win now than it ever has been. And yet that's just because it's happened more often in the last 6 to 8 years than it used to. It was like literally like the Grim Reaper would be waiting for you at the arena when you got off the bus in a game 7 on the road in the past. That's not the case anymore. There's been some big ones that have happened and gives other teams hope. So I wouldn't completely rule it out. There's a lot of pressure on the home team in a game 7 at home too, but OKC, they get to a game 7 in front of that crowd with as few times as they've lost in that building this year. Yeah, you'd have to favor them.
Yeah. All right, hit that outro music. We are off tomorrow because the game's happening tomorrow night, but we are back Thursday recapping the game and breaking it down. It is going to be a big one. Thursday's show is going to be a big one because game 3s are always so pivotal, and there's always a lot to digest from a game 3. Teams haven't fully shown their hand yet. Game 3, you reveal a lot, and we see who takes momentum of it. So you're going to want to make sure you're subscribed, make sure you're tuned in, and check out Quita Love Sports if you're into the WNBA, our brand new WNBA show on the All City Network. Legs, enjoy yourself out there. We'll talk Thursday.
You got it.
All city like the mayor.